This training is brought to you by the Niagara Library System. We serve our member libraries in Niagara, Orleans, and Genesee counties. Please visit your local library homepage and use your library card to get access to streaming videos, downloadable music, audiobooks, ebooks, and even more from the comfort of your own home. Thank you.
Hello, hello. I think I just smacked my lips again. Good grief, I'm going to have to edit this all out. Let's try this again. Hi. So, good to see everybody again. And what we're going to talk about today is actually talking to people dealing with uncertainty. And there is a lot of that going around. There's a lot of it going around in the libraries, in what we feel, and these types of things. And I found a couple of interesting articles, and the one specifically by Clay Drinko. I'm going to end up quoting him extensively, but it's all of my references are there. Please go and give love to the original authors, and we'll go ahead and get started with the video. So as you can see here on the screen, I have really two sources. The first one from the APA, the American Psychological Association. There is the APA Stress Survey that was done in 2020. The link is there. It'll be in the description below. And then, of course, the article by Clay Drinko is How to Deal with Uncertainty, and he talks about improvisation. So let's jump in. Okay. And the APA writes, most people, of course, are creatures of habit. When things go as planned, we feel in control, but when life throws a curveball, it can leave us feeling anxious and stressed. The findings from the most recent APA Stress in America survey highlight other common ways that uncertainty stresses us out. More than a third of Americans cite unexpected expenses as a source related to money, a source of stress related to money. Nearly a third of Americans say economic uncertainty is a source of stress when thinking about the economy. When it comes to health-related issues, about 2/3 of Americans cite uncertainty about the future as a source of stress, and a similar proportion stressed about possible changes to healthcare policy and things of that nature. So lots of stuff going on. No one can avoid the unexpected. We would love to avoid the unexpected, but that's why it's unexpected. But these simple steps can help you better face life's uncertainties. And they talk about, of course, being kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Some people are better at dealing with uncertainties than others. Don't beat yourself up over it. If you have a lower tolerance for unpredictability than a friend or a family member or someone else, no two of us is alike in any way, shape, or form, and that's okay. Remind yourself that it might take time for the stressful situation to resolve, and then try and be patient with yourself in the meantime. Reflect on past successes. Chances are you've overcome stressful events in the past and you survived. Give yourself credit. Reflect on what you did during that event and what you did that was actually helpful and what you might like to do differently this time. Okay? Develop new skills. Now, this is a good point because I've mentioned it before. When life is relatively calm, that is, make a point to try and do things outside of your comfort zone. So when you're already comfortable, and I talked about this, do it when you don't have to. So you have the energy and the time and the motivation to take care of it, okay? If you're like me, and I definitely suffer from, as I've been calling it, a resting crabby face. Okay. When I'm in neutral and I'm not thinking too much, I look very unhappy. I have practiced trying to pull my mouth at least straight or curve it up slightly. It isn't a fully engaged smile, but it makes me, I think, look a little more inviting, I hope. Let me know. Going on with the APA article, limit your exposure to news. Oof, okay. When you're stressed about something, it can be hard to look away, but compulsively checking the news only keeps you wound up. Try to limit your check-ins and avoid the news during vulnerable times of the day, such as right before bedtime, okay? And I would definitely add to that, limit your exposure to social media. when we do get stressed about something, we have a tendency to engage until we're just drained. And of course, we know that Facebook and Twitter and all the social media platforms, they want you to engage with the platforms, and they want to suck you in, okay? So we have to be mindful of that and try to help limit some of that, okay? Avoid dwelling on things you cannot control, okay? When uncertainty strikes, many people immediately imagine worst case scenarios, so we jump right over. We should get out of the habit of ruminating on negative news, although our brains are really wired for it, so we got to watch that. Let me just scroll up here. I do try to replace these with more positive thoughts, or the aforementioned reflect on success. Trying not to think of negative things doesn't work for me. It's, what is that, the old pink elephant experiment? Try not to think of a pink elephant. So what do you think of? A pink elephant. Replace the thoughts with something else, and trying to reflect on past successes. Very good idea. Take your own advice. Ask yourself, if a friend came to me with this particular worry, what would I tell her? Imagine the situation from the outside can often provide you with perspective and fresh ideas. Seek support from those you trust, and control what you can, okay? If you focus more on things that are really within your control, even if it's as simply as a weekly meal planning, then you can really start to lower your stress levels because certain things are set, okay? And certainly ask for help. I know this is coming from the APA, this is their article, but it's always good to ask for help. You have social support from your friends and your family, but sometimes you really need a referee to get in your head and just, break up the fight. So, okay? And that can be very helpful. Moving over to Clay Drinko's article on improvisation, he writes a very interesting article. He says improvisation has something to teach us. It has uncertainty at its core. When you take the stage without a script, there's no telling what will emerge. So to handle this level of uncertainty, the forefathers and mothers of improv created some guidelines to make it easier for improvisers to collaborate, okay? And there's 3 different things that he mentions. First is listening, active listening. Improvisation is all but impossible if we aren't listening to each other. Imagine I say my name is Bob and I live in Florida, and if you're not listening, you might call me by the wrong name, or you won't know how to respond. That would be bad. We got to listen, okay? Second, he mentions openness. I also think of this principle as non-judgment. To ease the risk of going on stage without a script, I try my best to have an open mind and not judge my fellow players, their ideas, myself, or my ideas. Okay? If I'm judgmental, I'm going to miss some good ideas, and if I feel like I'm being judged, I won't be as receptive or creative. Okay? Finally, he talks about collaboration. This is the famous yes and principle. Yes and means that I have to go along with my partner's idea and then add a new detail to the scene. Then I can feel confident that they'll do the same for me. And the yes and principle is the key to dealing with uncertainty. In improv, no one knows how the scene will end, but listening, openness, and the yes and give players confidence amidst the uncertainty. And I have to say, I really liked his examples. I try not to quote really lengthy from the articles, but these were really good. So he says here, let's say 2 players jump on stage. The first says, "Mom, I need a bomb pop and some sunscreen." The second player follows the guidelines and says, "Sure, honey, I'm just happy you decided to spend your 30th birthday with me." Now the 2 players know who they are and probably where they are. They have some idea of that. And this knowledge gives them more confidence to then go and explore the scene. They don't have to worry about uncertainty because they're working together to create the scene. They're working together within the scene and to explore it. Now, let's say he says here that 2 other people take the stage. The first says, "Janet, you said you'd fax the contract over yesterday. Unfortunately, the second player is not following our 3 rules. She is not open and thinks the idea is dumb, so she says, 'fax machine.' She also wasn't listening and introduces herself as Carla. Finally, she doesn't follow the yes and by saying, 'Besides, you work for me anyways.'" So completely negating what the first person in the scene said by saying something completely different. And he goes on to say the scene will be excruciating. And we can go from there. So I really, really like the yes and using the word and instead of but. We can explore that more in other videos. And I hope this was useful. Again, I always appreciate your email, comments, whatnot. Let me know, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye now.